Welcome everyone to a special edition of Howling with the Wolf. Different location, a Nashville hotel room. Um, so not necessarily the most scenic view as we typically do, but we're here to talk some football. I am in Nashville, Tennessee, my old stomping grounds. I spent a year here in the 2017 season covering the Tennessee Titans before I moved to Miami. So for Titans fans, um, glad to be back. Talked to a couple of you guys, throughout the last day, actually yesterday, and I'll have some content coming out for you guys later this week. Titans related content. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, I wanted to come back and do a Howling with the Wolf chat, Titans edition. We'll talk some Dolphins stuff if you guys want to talk Dolphins stuff as well. I know people, root for the Dolphins, watch this all the time. So we'll definitely answer some off-season coaching search questions and things that are going on with the team. But we want to spend most of this chat talking about the Titans. And it's a Remember the Titans type run for this Titans team that is in the AFC Championship game for the first time since Aaron McNair and Eddie George. And I was in the facility today, and there was this great painting. You guys can't hear me. Let's see. Can you hear me better now? Did that come by a little better? Let me know. Yes, no, perfect. Okay, cool. All right, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, no, I'm out here in Nashville um, for a few days to produce some Titans content that you guys will see later this week. I'm excited. This is where I spent a year of my life, so I had to hit some spots. I hit Martin's for some barbecue today. I hit, got a fried fish sandwich from Ed's. I'm gonna hit me some hot chicken before I leave too. But that being said, I definitely wanted to come back on the Howling with the Wolf chat and give you guys a Titans edition love on this. We can talk some Dolphins coaching stuff towards the end of the episode, but I think that Ryan Tannehill is something that connects both of these fan bases now. The Miami Dolphins have seen him for 7 years, and now he's the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, leading them to the AFC Championship. Derrick Henry has been a beast, animal. So I definitely want to talk about him and what I think is going to happen this weekend with the game. So first things first, I think that Ryan Tannehill I think he should be, him or Devontae Parker should be favorites for comeback player of the year. Because no matter whether you're angry, bitter, or happy for him, you have to admit that he's had an incredible season for the Titans. They were 2-4 when they decided to bench Marcus Mariota for Ryan Tannehill, and now they're an AFC Championship team. So he led the league in passer rating this year, and I think he landed in a perfect situation. I wrote a column on ESPN today, and essentially the premise was Dolphins fans, it's okay to let go of Ryan Tannehill. It was the right decision then, it's the right decision now. It's okay to root for him Sunday. He's found his team with the Titans, and now the Dolphins have to find their quarterback. So I wrote a lot about that. Look at it on ESPN.com if you want to get more. But I think it's true. You shouldn't. I know it's the ex-girlfriend situation. Your ex-girlfriend, and for Dolphins fans, is going on to a new girl, to a new guy, and they're having a lot of fun on and going places that you thought that you were going to go with her, and doing it really quickly. But you gotta deal with it. I think that it was a perfect fit for Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Derrick Henry, that offensive line, that defense led by Dean Pease, that is the best supporting cast that Ryan Tannehill has ever had. And I think that has allowed him to be more confident, to be more efficient, and to be a more consistent version of the player that he showed flashes of in his time in Miami. And maybe most importantly, he stayed healthy. So I think Ryan Tannehill deserves a lot of credit for this run, even though he isn't the primary reason why they're winning these playoff games. Obviously, Derrick Henry is carrying the load. I think that his deep throwing ability, like we saw Sunday against the Ravens, and his ability to lead the team as the quarterback has played a huge role throughout the season and the playoffs. So um, I think it's good to see Ryan Tannehill succeed. I mean, um, I think the Titans have a better chance than people realize to win Sunday. And, I'll give you guys my picks in a little bit. But I think the formula they have makes them tough to beat in the playoffs. So, as always, if you guys have any questions that you want to fire, feel free to fire away. I definitely did want to talk about Ryan Tannehill. I want to talk about the Titans as a whole. For Titans fans who are joining in here, I watch the Titans as much as I can throughout the season. And I remember early in the season watching a game, one of the games they lost in those first 6 games, and I was trying to figure out what was missing. They didn't have I felt like they didn't have an identity into what they were trying to do. And I didn't want to blame Marcus because everybody always blames the quarterback, but I thought that with a lot of the changes they had, they didn't have Taylor Lewan in the early parts of the season. He was injured, and I think that Marcus, there was a lot of pressure on Marcus to do more with his arm than he was doing. And this is before Derek and his offensive line got a lot of chemistry together. So they just didn't have an identity as an offense. And when Ryan Tannehill came in, he immediately brought more threat as a passer, and particularly off play action and deep balls. And I think that opens up a lot for this Titans offense. So, when I watch the Titans even now, you always look at his throwing amount. He only threw 14 passes this past game. Everybody's like, he's Trent Dilfer in it. What is it he's doing? But I think that when you watch defenses, they always have to keep a deep safety back because if they don't, they get burnt for a big touchdown. And I think that's what his role is as the game manager, quarterback in this offense. He still has the ability to beat defenses with his deep ball ability to an A.J. Brown or to a Corey Davis or to a Khalif Raymond like we saw last week. And he has legs and the mobility like Marcus has to be able to create plays on his own when things break down. So I think that element makes him a really good fit. It's a team that built its team so that the quarterback can be a auxiliary piece rather than the central reason why they win. And we don't see teams doing that often because the elite quarterback is the easiest way to get to the Super Bowl. We see a team that has built a strong run game, a strong defense, and the quarterback just has to play his role, not screw it up, and make plays when we're counting on him. And more often than not, Ryan Tannehill has done that. So I think it's fun to see the Titans ride this wave. I actually believe the Titans win on Sunday. I think they beat the Kansas City Chiefs with the same formula they have throughout the playoffs, running Derrick Henry, Tannehill making timely throws when they can. And I think they're going to shred that Kansas City defense. So give me Titans 27-21. I think they get to the Super Bowl down in Miami. Upset. I want to also get into the other game. I had a question here from a Dolphins fan. I mentioned I was going to talk about the coaching changes. I'll go ahead and chat a little bit about those, and I definitely want to get back into the games at hand. My thoughts are that for folks who didn't know, the Dolphins made a defensive coordinator change, and Patrick Graham left Miami to go to the New York Giants, a lateral move. I think he may be the assistant head coach there as well, but essentially he's leaving to become the defensive coordinator under Joe Judge, who he was with in New England. And Josh Boyer is replacing him. He's the DB coach, defensive pass game coordinator. He's being promoted to that role in Miami. They also lost their assistant quarterback coach, Jerry Slupinski, to the Giants as well, where he's going to become the quarterback coach. And they hired a guy named Robbie Brown, who has been most recently in Northwestern State, but he's kind of bounced around colleges and also as an NFL quality control coach. First time being a full-time NFL QB coach to fill that role. So on the surface, a lot of these are like really surprising. I wish I had more information on who Robbie Brown was and why they made that move. I do think that it makes me even more, curious and worrisome that Jim Caldwell isn't coming back next season. I've asked the Dolphins about Jim Caldwell so many times, Brian Flores, and they keep sidetracking it. So to me, if you're not wanting to answer the question, maybe the answer isn't what fans would want. So I don't know that for sure, but the fact that they hired a quarterback coach and Jim Caldwell still listed on the staff as quarterback coach / assistant head coach makes me feel like maybe that's not going to happen in year 2. So he's healthy and he's ready to go, and his name has been bandied about around a lot of different coaching jobs, but not the one that he currently has. So that's my thoughts on the quarterback kind of room in that situation. It's going to be interesting to see because that quarterback coach is going to have his hands on, possibly a rookie quarterback like Tua Tagovailoa, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and possibly Josh Rosen. So they're going to be extremely important position, especially because there's a new OC in Chan Gailey. So I'm eager to see what Brian Flores has to say about these moves, but I can give you a breakdown on the defensive coordinator move because I got to know Josh Boyer and what he provided in his role a good bit. I actually think that this move may end up being a positive for the Dolphins. I don't know, what the Giants loved about Patrick Graham. Maybe he ends up being a really good DC. But in his 1 year in Miami, they were 30th in defense. There wasn't anything that I saw that Patrick Graham did that made me think, oh, this guy's a great coach. So maybe it's more to be seen in the future. But I have seen Josh Boyer have a history of identifying and developing talent. And he's done it with Malcolm Butler in New England. He did it with J.C. Jackson in New England, Jonathan Jones in New England, and now Nick Needham in Miami. These are guys that he identified or had a significant hand in identifying as undrafted free agents, and he led them into their current position, as head coach. So I mean, as a DB coach. So because of that, I think that he's gonna play a very intricate role for these defensive backs and now the whole defense. So it brings continuity for the defense, and I think that he'll be good in that role. So that's my thoughts on that, and hopefully that answers your question. But I am going to be eager to see why Brian Flores decided to make these moves and a few others. So that answers the Dolphins question. I did want to jump back a little bit to the championship games and then the Titans. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about the games this week, the Titans, Ryan Tannehill, or the Dolphins, just fire away. I'll be on for a few more minutes chatting this, and then we're going to go find me something to eat, maybe some hot chicken. But I think that the other game, really quickly, Packers 49ers. I think that I'm really excited to see this game because I think that those two teams have been the best two teams in the NFC for the majority of the season. I know the Saints were there, but there was something about the Saints that just didn't feel like they were ready to win it this year. I really love what Matt LaFleur has been doing in Green Bay, and I think that he should be a Coach of the Year candidate. He obviously spent time in Tennessee, and it would be fun to see a Mike Vrabel, Matt LaFleur Super Bowl. I typically go with the better quarterback in these games. The 49ers having a crazy good front. They may have the best defensive line in football, all those former first-round picks there. But Aaron Rodgers, with the ball in his hand late in the fourth quarter, I think he gets it done. So give me the Packers 31-28. Aaron Rodgers with the game-winning touchdown drive as time expires. Give me that. So Packers Titans Super Bowl for me. That's what I think on that. But I do want to say a couple more things about the Titans, and then I'll head out. I think that for me, Ryan Tannehill is going to talk to the media tomorrow, and I'm eager to hear some of his thoughts on being on the stage. But I had a conversation with one of his former teammates, Kenny Stills, today, and the big thing that he told me is he thinks that Ryan Tannehill is going to be super ready for this moment. He told me that Kenny Stills told me that he believes that the competitive nature of Ryan is the reason why he's having so much success in this sort of bounce back year. He thinks that him being there, having to be a backup, having to start fresh and getting a new start. Those are all elements that like rejuvenated him and revitalized his spirit. And he thinks that same formula. He also picked the Titans to win, and I think that a lot of those things are the elements that we don't see about Ryan Tannehill: his toughness, his ability to be a warrior. So I think those aspects of Ryan Tannehill are things that the Titans have really benefited from. That being said, for them to win Sunday, they're going to have to ride that beast, Derrick Henry. And he's had 180 yards in 3 consecutive games. He led the league in rushing this season. I just don't know if there's anybody that's going to stop him. He has the best stiff arm in football, and too often when you see him, you make a business decision. So I think those are a lot of elements. John Robinson, the Titans GM, has done a really good job building this roster to be a physical bunch, to be a team that's feared. And the Titans, like I have a comment here, mentioned Dolphin Daddy 30 said the Titans already beat KC earlier this year. They did, and that was with Ryan Tannehill. So I think they can do it again, and I think I think they will. So appreciate you, nice jacket, appreciate you. Remember the Titans is such a good movie, no cap. Yes, appreciate you. Miami Alondro said Tua is having a pro day. I don't know if you saw. I didn't. I have been on this chat, so I haven't seen it yet. But if so, that's really good news for teams that are trying to check out his medicals. I have said that if he's healthy, if Tua is healthy and his medicals check out, then he should be the Dolphins pick at number 5. So that's what my thought is there. And the pro day will give people a chance to see, how far along he is. Got a comment here from Terrence Turner. T, what's up, my guy? He says, do you think Tannehill will surprise some folks if he has to throw at least 25 times? I do. I think that people have seen, like I mentioned earlier, like there's like the Trent Dilfer aspect of his game because he's been carried by the running game. But I don't think it's because of lack of ability. I think that he's always been a competent quarterback, and I do think KC will sell out to stop Derrick Henry. If I was game planning for KC, I'd say put 8 men in the box. We're going to play man-to-man outside against the Titans receivers and see if Ryan Tannehill can beat us. And I think he can. One-on-one coverage, in a situation where the pressure is not on him, and I think that's important. He doesn't have to be the best player on the field. He doesn't have to be Superman. Patrick Mahomes is going to be expected to be Superman throughout the game. Ryan Tannehill doesn't have to be that. So I think that element of it could help them surprise them. And I think that, 25 times, like you mentioned, I could see him going, 18 and 26 for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns and being the reason why they won. I think that's well within Ryan Tannehill's capabilities. And I think that could be the game plan this week. If the Chiefs sell out to stop Derrick Henry and for some reason, things are slow early on, you have to turn to Ryan and man-to-man coverage, let him beat him. I think he can beat him with his arm, especially some of the chemistry he started to build with guys like A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith. So I think that's something. He threw 2 touchdowns this week. I'm predicting he throws 2, maybe 3 touchdowns Sunday against the Chiefs. Hey, how you doing? I got a couple hays here. Hey. Let's see. I got any thoughts on Coach Flores on his staff? I talked about his staff a little earlier. I got Haddon's asking me a similar question about the lateral moves from the staff. I'll mention this briefly again, and you guys can rewind if you guys want to hear my full response on what I think about the coaching staff changes. But I think Brian Flores, showed a lot of coaching promise in the year 1. One of the things that we've learned about him is that he's unpredictable. He makes moves that you may not expect. I think this coaching cycle is another example of that. Like, nobody expected him to get rid of his OC and his DC after what they called a successful first season. So I think those are things that show that he's constantly evaluating, and he constantly has his mind on what he wants to do to improve the roster. Well, we will see if he's right about him. There's a lot of questionable hires in there. They hired a high school coach to come on and be a position coach. They hired a quarterback coach who has been, who has been, a college coach for most of his career. So there's a lot of questionable things, but that doesn't mean they're incorrect. So that's my thought, on what he is and what he's done. But I think that we'll get a really good look of Brian Flores and his new staff as they go into the offseason program. And year two, there will be more pressure and less of the it doesn't matter what they do because they don't have any talent feel. So that's when we'll get a better aspect of how good Brian Flores truly is as a coach and how he is as a evaluator of his players and his own coaching staff. So that's my thoughts on that. I got a couple more questions, and then I will head out. Let's see. Dolphins Daddy said, do you have any Tannehill bets with your coworker if they go to the Super Bowl? I don't have any Super Bowl bets, but I did lose a bet to Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post. We had a bet last year that Ryan Tannehill would not. I bet that Ryan Tannehill would not go to a championship game, conference championship game with another team. He bet he would, and we won. So I owe Joe a steak dinner on that. So I got you, Joe. And I'll answer this last one, Dolphins question, and then I'll call it a wrap here for Smashville. Any thoughts on the Dolphins' other first-round picks? They have a pick at number 5, at number 18, and number 26. So my thoughts are that quarterback at 5, edge rusher or offensive tackle at 18 or 26. You pick BPA, so maybe it ends up being a receiver. Maybe you find a linebacker or safety that you love. Maybe you find a running back that you want to invest in. But I would be looking at those 3 positions. Definitely hitting 2 of those positions in the first round, and definitely hitting all 3 of them within the first two or 3 rounds. So I think I'll make a mock draft as the offseason goes on and give maybe some options of what to do with those 3 picks. But I would be interested in some type of combo, maybe like a Tua, AJ Espinoza out of Iowa, or Yetur Gross Matos out of Penn State, at number 18, and maybe at number 26, a Mecca Bedden, offensive tackle out of Louisville, or there's a kid from Houston, Josh Jones, offensive tackle as well. Maybe that ends up being a guy who can start for a left tackle or right tackle for you. So that may be an idea of how I'd handle the draft. So yeah, thank you guys. We'll be chatting more. Howling with the Wolf. Maybe Super Bowl week we'll do one, and we'll catch.